What's up? Welcome. I'm Grizz. Episode 2, Steins Gate. Did not wrap my head around the single thing that basically happened last time. That's okay. We're just gonna push forward and see what's out there. I loved it though. I thought it was fantastic. I'd argue it's one of the most intriguing openings and first episodes to a show in which I've watched. So that's a plus, right? You already started off good. There was nothing negative for me to say. So excited to kind of get into more. If you like it all, like and subscribe to me and all that to make feel free to stick around for discussion. Leave any comments about this episode or series. Let's go on episode 2. Oh, are you alive? How? Sir? Sir? Yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. Settle down there. I saw you dead. You can't just make claims like that to people. Please, you're creepy, don't touch me. No, it's not. He's 1,000,000% just gonna say shit out loud during this, right? Right. Yeah, we're about to prove you fucking wrong, buddy. That explains. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. It's always that one friend. Always embarrassing. Yeah, we're good. What are you gonna do, pipsqueak? Oh. So she remembered her name? That's step 1 to getting the girl. Is this like a romance thing too? I don't think so. Alright. My brain's gonna bring me to that though. I already know it. So she just fucking embarrassed him over and over. The way she says his name. You not know who he is? Yeah, of course, the organization. Of course. They have to stop you because you're above all. I worry for you. I truly do. Come on, learn the words. It doesn't look heavy. Wow. Put her on blast. I love him. Usually I complain and I'm like, oh, this is really cringe, but he's just playing into it. I love it. Huh? Cutest dude I've ever seen, that's all I'm saying. The radio bill, like, yeah, we can't go there because there's satellites and shit, right? Time. What time is it? Is it still day of? That is a long ass day. You gotta go to work now. What was that? Okay. Why the fuck is that? I mean, of course not. She thought she thought he was dead. Huh? Who the fuck are you?
年は
18
志望動機は
ブラウン管が好きだから
採用
待て、これはコントか仕込みか
そういう君は
Too easy.
大壁ってんだ。この上に曲がりしてるバカだよ。
大壁ではないフォ
うる
ース
せえ、家賃倍にすん
Keep
だ。
calling yourself.
よろしくねえその袋は
多くの人が俺と知り合ったことで機関に狙われた
Mm.
サラ、クラウディア、シモーヌ。
そうなんだ
I feel like he's making people up.
こいつの操
Yeah,
作だ
yeah, yeah.
お
せいぜいそう思い込むがいい。いずれこの世界は俺にひざまずくことになる。
I'd argue that's
あ
true.
あいうのが流行ってあ
Oh, you got a corn. Bro, how the fuck is he eating that corn? Why is he eating it like that? Maybe not why he's eating it that way. Why is he holding it like that?
ものは幻だったのか。
I'd argue it's a different timeline. One that you're not aware of. Scavenging the deep web here. John, the guy from... the guy from the first one, the fraud.
タイムマシンはセルンによって独占されています。一般人も企業も手に入れることはできません。彼らは自身の利益のためだけに用いて世界にディストピアをもたらしました。わざとも可能です。その場合、世界線が移動します。通り魔に殺されるとします。
The other ones he might
それを未来
not.
から来た私が防いだとすれば、
There'll be another
あ
world
なた
where
が
he still
殺された世
does.
界と
But
生き延びた世界
one
の
where he
2
still
つも
does.
世界は分岐するというわけ。
12件。
Whoa.
バカな。10年経ったとはいえ、あれだけ騒ぎになったんだぞ。
Maybe at the time,
そんなこと
somebody's been wiping the web. Oh,
ない。なぜだ関連者はここに
did
集
he
めて
just
いた
not
は
give
ず
enough time to load? Or does shit change then and there?
ロンタイターに関する本だ。本棚にまとめて置いてあっただろう。どこにある
Ooh. Yeah.
残念ながら2000年には行ったことは
Yeah.
またその予定もありません。
おい待て
You can't just take pictures of me and
そ
leave.
このお前いやあなた待て待ってください今俺を取ったなすぐ削除した方が身のためだ
See, he has this fear of everybody around him is going to get claimed by the organization.
何を取っていたのだ
You.
証明
That you exist.
自分が今日どこまで来て
The original vlogger. The real day in a life.
これ
ずいぶん古いパソコンだな脅そうというのか
教えてくれたら消す
It's not that bad of a trade, bro. Yeah.
ただし仲間を売るわけにはい
You
かん
just kind of
教える
did.
のは俺のメアドだ
Okay.
名前は
法王隠居魔と書いてあるだろう
That's a fake name. Yep.
風
Oh my fucking god. The perfect job.
なさいませおかりは顔出す約束どうなったにゃ
Some shit's been going down.
期間の妨害がひどく
Yeah.
にゃそこまで期間は迫ってるにゃでは今日も期間打倒のための極秘会議にゃ
そうだいつものステ
Damn, she's really going for that money, huh?
禁断の費用儀があるにゃ
まさか得得したというのか
そのまさかにゃギアナコーチで修行に耐え抜き師匠の死も乗り越えてフェイリスはついに手に入れたのにゃ
So cute.
まれ浮気野郎が二次元の嫁が泣いてるぞ
フェイリスさんは別3次元でも2次元魂を宿してる俺 IBN5100 っしょ
How do you just know?
IBN
幻のレトロ
Oh, it's
PC
legendary.
1ヶ月くらい前だったかな秋葉原のどこかに眠っているという噂が流れたからそれ聞きつけてきたんじゃね元からなかったんじゃねえかってことでファイナルアンサー
Sure, but I bet it exists.
シフリーター嫌だって言ってもしちゃいまこれがさっきの女と同一人物だという
Yeah, entirely different.
世界がやばい来たいただきます。
落ち着け
What does that say?
うまいマジうまいこれ。
The same thing.
マッドサイエンティストの勘だ。
根拠なし。
Right.
おっしゃ、接続終わった。
よし、ではこれを使おう。
これ、眉しのじゃ。
安心しろ。
She wrote the... Okay.
絵が買ったものだ。
Yeah.
だからそれを眉しのって言うのね。
さあ、双子と放り込んで変化を確かめるのだ。
一本でいいだろ
Why
う、
something
ジョコ
different gonna occur? How will things change with only a single
実
banana?
験に金をケチるようでは、世界の支配構造を変えることはできんぞ。
We don't have the funding to begin with. Yeah, you want to.
ん
It's just gone.
お、
どうした？
消えてる。バナナが。バカな。
Why?
緊急要請6665。
Stop talking to yourself,
ロゴを
dude.
発動させろ。これはもしやテレポート可能な電子レンジ。
なんだって。
Why hasn't it teleported other
そ
things
んな無
then?
茶な。
ではどう説明する？房からちぎりレンジに入れたはずのバナナを。
And it's in the bunch again. Ooh, what the fuck?
消える。
I had an idea, but now I
でも
don't.
さ、房に完全に繋がってね。
確かにさっき一本ちぎ
Right, which is why my idea no longer works.
岡部倫太郎、いえ、法王院京馬さんでしたっけ？
マキセ。
What I find really fascinating about this episode specifically is that after I finish every episode, I usually take a couple minutes to myself, just kind of think about things. I'll skim through the episode a little bit and try and refresh myself on things that I might want to specifically say before I actually go back through and do my full like recap and actually like start going into things a lot. It's the idea that if you asked me the moment we finish this episode, what happened this episode, or if you asked me what key events, things that we can really clue in on happened, I realistically would have just answered the thing about the banana as the biggest thing that kind of happened here. And while that is, and I think that's the most in-your-face type of thing that happened, and I think that's also why, considering it was left at the end, a cliffhanger, a whole bunch of other stuff like that, is why that kind of, is the thing left in my mind. It's actually a little crazy how much occurred throughout this episode that kind of got swept under the rug, it feels like. Like, the things that happened at the beginning are almost like not things that I kind of focused on or remembered by the end of it, and then going back you're like, oh fuck, those things happened too. Then you're like, now I got a lot I gotta say. So I think there's two things specifically to really focus on. The thing specifically with John and specifically with us at the end in the banana. I guess actually three. And the people who, I believe they said something about having access to time travel already. There's groups of people, or there's just individual people or something they said. I'll have to go back and check specifically. Regardless, the banana incident itself, I think, is the most telling one almost for the exact situations that's kind of happening here. So they specifically explored the idea between these different timelines, and they used a certain term or multiple terms here, and I didn't write any of those down. I can't remember what they said, but they specifically explored these options and these ideas that the reason that these bananas are getting the green stuff kind of sent onto them is because they were sent back through time, or they were sent to a different parallel like universe almost, or a different parallel timeline or something along those lines. I think that's the most thing that you can kind of read into, almost the reason why that kind of occurred, the reason why this set of bananas is still fully intact. At first it seems pretty obvious, almost the idea that if the banana just disappeared completely, we know what's going on. If the banana was put back to kind of where it was beforehand and there was nothing in the microwave, it makes a lot of sense. But the fact that it's put back there and it has all of this gel and stuff on it is the weird part, right? You can't specifically microwave, or you can't specifically do something that's going to force this to be on only one of them, right? So there has to be some sort of shift, and I think the shift in the crossing of these universes or these timelines in a way is the thing that we are getting this gel from, and that's where the gel is kind of is showing you like visual representation almost that we kind of shifted between it. But it probably only works on specific objects like that, or maybe it only specifically works when it goes through like a certain set of rules or a certain set of things that it has to like kind of bypass. Because as we've seen, or we're believing to see, people in these situations don't seem to kind of follow the same exact rule. Now, it's also entirely possible that people maybe do follow the same set of rules, but we're specifically following one specific timeline, but within this timeline, we're constantly having things change around us, like in the times and things that were changed in the past and future, that are causing this to kind of be fucked up so much. But that's where my head starts hurting, and I don't like going too far into that. The thing with John specifically, I said, was one of the, I guess, second most important thing I really want to talk about. The idea that this is a real person, real events, a whole bunch of stuff has happened with them, along with the idea that we're playing with the fact that certain things are missing almost. We're researching this person and we're only finding 9 results instead of thousands or whatever we're supposed to find, right? And then the next moment when we turn away, all of a sudden it's updated and now it's 56, right? But then we go to our bookshelf and we have documents and books specifically about this, but those are completely gone in this next moment, right? Is another idea that we are playing around with things where this person possibly has never actually made these ideas and these things about themselves and their time travel experience and all this public. So none of this stuff is ever online because we're dealing with a different time where they did do that. But then also we could be dealing with an entirely different time where they did make everything public. And that's why there's hundreds of them. But then there could be times where they might have kind of came out about certain things, but didn't come about other things. And that's why maybe books are disappearing and certain things. Like, there's a lot that can be kind of toyed around with. And while I can sit here and state that specifically, that I believe we're like similar, like going down a route like that, you can't really, I guess, form a definitive, like, yes, this is exactly what's occurring and how we're doing this and what exactly each and everything means, specifically because I don't believe we have a great picture, I guess, for what the goal is, exactly what we're solving. Where we start off the first episode and Carisu's our girl that we're trying to, it seems almost like we're trying to save. Well, they don't actually state that. It almost gives you that vibe, like we're starting off this series and you're going to figure out who killed this person, and we're going to create a world almost where we don't have them get killed because we are having a whole bunch of shit shift, specifically with her being alive now. So we're going to go down this route. While that might be the case, that doesn't exactly seem likely. But what exactly is the goal here? It's to solve just all these little mysteries and these things that are happening, all these odd occurrences and these constant shifts and changes, because we don't have a true end goal, it kind of appears. We don't have a person that we're setting out to like do anything with. We don't have a thing that we're trying to prove. I guess the only thing we're trying to prove is full time travel. So the creation of that possibly, which I guess could be a thing that Okabe is the one who possibly creates it himself. And these organizations and people and stuff that are kind of mingling in between and doing all this other shit are going out of their way to specifically try and stop or take credit, or they're abusing these things in which he's created, and it's causing things to constantly shift and change in bad ways. So I guess maybe I take back everything I said, and maybe the main thing is we're trying to prove that this exists, or possibly just we're trying to prove that he's the one who was the creator of it, or we're just trying to prove somebody created this, or what exactly the goal is, I believe would probably be similar to that. Another thing specifically to keep in mind, I guess the thing with John is that we had this professor, or we had this, whatever he is, this other scientist who was making all these bold claims, who kind of just ripped off John's ideas and the things he did. But then in the next moment, all these books and things specifically about John are kind of vanished and gone and no longer within the world. And people don't seem to have a general idea of who he was or the things that he kind of set out to do or anything, right? So it kind of seems a little weird. So where's that professor himself now? Was he supposed to be, I don't remember if they said it, was he supposed to be at that lecture that Carisu was the one kind of giving us, like the one who was actually like specifically talking about this topic or making these statements on? Was he supposed to be there, or was that something entirely else? Was that just her own thing? I don't know. She's also an odd one too, because it makes me, I think we could play it multiple ways where she comes from these different things. She knows the stuff that happens, and she's kind of like sending this info back to herself in a way too, to kind of figure out maybe she has the same exact goals as us at the end of the day, so she doesn't have bad intentions. But I guess she could also have bad intentions, and she's trying to come back here to stop Okabe from like doing certain things in which he's doing, or possibly keep an eye on him and the stuff that he does, in which that they can kind of take credit or steal the things that she does. Maybe she's one of these other people from the future in that sort of sense. I don't know. We're going to skim through so we can touch on some other stuff that kind of happened. We get very fun interaction between these two. He's kind of just, I cannot believe the things that kind of just happened, right? Talking about the things, oh, you just got killed. You literally cannot tell that to a person. No shit. Like, they're not going to believe that, of course. They're going to think, okay, so they do say here, his press conference was called off. So if his conference was called off, is this because we are now in a timeline in which John does not exist, or never, at least maybe he does exist, but he doesn't publish these theories and actually come forward about being a time traveler. So as a result, we no longer have a person here to actually publish and speak on the things and steal the things that somebody else has done and the things that somebody else has claimed. Is that a strong possibility? I guess there's a possibility of that. We get our entire opening lecture here where I guess she kind of just takes over because he canceled. Okabe objects to absolutely everything because of course he does. Which I think is hilarious. And then the way that she kind of just like puts him down by constantly like I don't know the right word for it, but the way that she constantly just says his name and she's always looking at him like she always has an answer to kind of give back for something. It's really, really great. I love those. I love those moments so much. We get these moments. Mayuri's kind of, I feel like Mayuri's one of those characters who you just look at and you're like, ah, she's just kind of there for whatever reason. But I feel like she's probably very smart or very aware and has a lot of like things that she can kind of help us understand, and it can actually be very useful with these next steps that we're going to kind of have to take throughout the story. Like, I feel like she genuinely might be, and I'm kind of hoping that we go more of those routes instead of just having her as like comic relief, like random side character who might be a little bit more level-headed than the others. Anyways, we meet Ruka here, who is the most adorable man I've ever seen in my life. Fun, cute little interaction there. This moment is weird to me. Where is it? Back here? This moment here. We hand off the bags, and for a single split second, we get a scene. It looks like a sunset, sun rising on the mountains and a horizon. I don't know what that would be. But this is what I meant last week when I said the direction felt on point, as if they were showcasing and holding specific angles and shots and doing specific things very, very intentionally and not wasting any of them for no reason. And this is another one where we get a single frame thing. And it's this. What the fuck is this image? Why did this happen? Why did this occur the moment we hand over this bag of corn, right? Why did exactly this happen? And I don't even have a guess to begin thinking about that. We meet our landlord. We meet new girl here who has an interest and gets hired in the TVs or whatever it is that they're doing. I don't know if she's going to have a big role, but I guess the fact that we kind of made her involved, she might. I don't really have enough read or anything I really want to state about her. It was a fun, cute interaction, and she gets a thing of corn, so good for her. This is where we start learning a lot of the stuff specifically about John. Okay, so the whole sequence with John is more fascinating now that I just sat here and rewatched it just so I can understand. So CERN, the organization almost. So is this the organization in which we are aware of and we are kind of fighting against? I would believe so. And I would believe none of that's made up. As I've said since I believe the beginning, even though he's making things up and he seems weird, like a lot of it has probably purpose, and it definitely does here. So I'd argue that's the organization in which we're kind of fighting against, and the agents in which he's constantly bringing up and like, oh, they're sending people after me. Very well could be somebody like Kurisu, or it could just be these other people in which we're seeing, which we'll later end up seeing. Actually, the girl who ends up taking a picture of him could possibly be a part of this. Regardless, we find out that they don't sell this to companies. They don't sell this to individual people. It's a group of specific people who like invented this or just have access to it for whatever reason it is, and they have a goal of creating this sort of dystopia, and that's everything that they do is working towards this. And John himself is the one who basically has figured everything out, be able to send himself back in time to warn the people of this day and the things that are going to happen. All makes enough sense, very believable, I guess, at this point. Where it becomes really weird is specifically now, all of a sudden, randomly, there's nothing on John, right? There's nothing there. And then the next moment you actually see there's maybe a little bit more on John. But then the next moment you see we have no books of him anymore, so none of his works are published. But then the next moment we call somebody up and they don't actually even know who he was, even though they would have known who he was the day before, right? Because likely in this scenario, this person's dead. Then we find something on a message board, and specifically this person states they've never actually been back to this year in which that they sent this message originally and started all of this stuff out. So now we're dealing with multiple different possibilities, where specifically one timeline where they're dead and non-existent to anybody, or maybe they're not dead, but they just, like I said, haven't published or actually come to the public eye in any sort of way, so nobody's aware of who they are. But then possibly dealing with a second one in which they have absolutely nothing to kind of offer or do, because they didn't actually go back or make these claims, in which they did go back to this year 2000, and none of this actually has ever happened. And if none of this has ever happened, it relates back to what I just said a little bit earlier about how the professor is not able to give his lecture because he's not able to steal these ideas and kind of have more of the solid or faked idea, I guess, at least on what exactly this time travel system is, which is a whole bunch of mindfuck shit that I am not getting too much more into with that. Meet girl, she takes pictures on phone. She's weird about it. I'm specifically believing, because no normal person just does this to document their day unless they like vlog their day, but this wasn't at that time. Makes me strongly believe that she might be one of these agents or something that I was talking about. There's a possibility of that. And if she isn't, maybe she's somebody who's experiencing the same weird stuff that we are. So she's taking pictures to document her days and times and kind of understand what's going on. And maybe we can use her or work with her at some sort of moment. But she's keeping track of time and specifically the events in which she does and things like that for certain reasons. So why that is, I do wonder. Then we go to the work over here and we play things up with this girl a lot, which is very, very fun. Just cute interaction. I mean, there might be more to it, but I'm going to not look too far. Then we have supercomputer thing that's like really fucking old. We get into the kind of idea between this, where there's somebody years and years ago who was able to buy it. Why she was looking for this, I don't know. Maybe there's info or something specifically in which we're looking for on it. He then sees the thing about destroying the world or whatever written on the food that he gets, and I believe he's starting to believe in this society in which he learns about from the CERN company or whatever that we talked about before. And then we get the whole banana fiasco in which we talked about. Mary writes her name on it, and then okay, I was gonna say she writes her name on it, but then does it say it later? But it looks like even in this shot they're not gonna show it, so it doesn't actually matter, I believe, because I was going to say maybe they're like an entire different pair or something that crosses between. But I talked about that situation enough, I think, with the bananas. I don't think I have anything more to add. Besides, things are definitely shifting between the different timelines and shit. And then Miss Crusoe shows up and decides that she's got some things to say to us. She is curious enough in the things that we're doing, why that is, what that is, how she found where we are. Did she follow us? Did she sent from somewhere? And she also is kind of suspicious of the things that's going on. Is she one of these people in this organization? Is she, I don't know, sus of her still, but I think that's okay. Loving it so far. Absolutely loving it. Very excited to kind of see what's going to come next. I don't got anything more to say. If you liked it, all the like and subscribe to mean a lot to me. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. Leave any comments about this episode or series. I'll be back for the third episode very soon. You guys have a good one though. See ya.